Did we lose you and regain you, Heather? Hey there, Heather. Can you hear me? I couldn't hear you for part of that. I'm sorry. I think you're muted, hon. At least on my end, it says you're muted. That's okay. I think you're muted, hon. At least on my end. I couldn't hear you on my end, hon. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Because I couldn't hear you. Can you hear me okay? I can't hear you though, hun. Yeah, I can hear the audio test here though. I can hear you now. I heard you for a second there, friend. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, I can't hear you, hon. I can hear you now.
I can hear you.
I think what happened was on my end, it showed that you had completely lost connection for a moment. And I think when I had you rejoin, it didn't resync your audio, sadly. I'm sorry.
So, oh well, these things do happen. Just have to
Tech
remind ourselves that,
happens.
don't we? We have to remind ourselves of that. Okay. Been doing this long enough. I should.
Tech gremlins, be gone.
Yes. Go away. Go away. Go away. I suppose I can always edit this. I might attempt that now that I know. Now that they have some newer things in place where you can actually edit things you've already uploaded to YouTube.
That's true. That's very true.
I might actually try that this time. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Jenna, would you count me down?
5, 4, 3, 2. You got this. Go.
Welcome, everybody. I have to not laugh. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. You are watching and listening, I hope, in the near future, to the SFF News and Interviews podcast. I'm your host, Heather Dewey Pettit, and I am an author, editor, and artist. I often say what ties all three of these things together is my love of fantasy and science fiction. Let's see. You know what? I have a passion for helping others achieve good writing. And maybe it could even be great. Let's see. We are your source of news in our corner of publishing. This project is super important to me as I aim to support authors and other creatives by providing information on the field of publishing and related topics, as well as providing services, but we can talk about that really soon here, I guess tonight. Because today I have a really wonderful guest here with me to talk to us about a really cool subject, in my opinion, and I do believe in your opinion as well. We're going to be talking about developmental editing. So would you like to say a quick hi?
Hello, everybody. A lot of you know me as Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, and I'm really glad to be here. And more about me in detail here in a little bit, because she did say keep it quick.
Okay. So now, for the news portion of the show, normally we discuss cool markets that fall under the speculative fiction umbrella, like writing contests, calls for submission, and books published this month by SFF authors, because you gotta know the trends, and also support our fellow authors, as well as possibly relevant craft books. Let's see. So any other books that are needed by authors can also be included in this list, like things like style guides, dictionaries, and books about language and linguistics. Because if you know, you know, and then you know. I'm sorry. I think you know where I'm going with that, possibly at this point. So I try to keep those sorts of things to the minimum, though, because my main focus is my interview. But let's see. So too, I also talk about bookish events, like related book cons, book festivals, writing conferences, and other cons where like-minded fans and readers can find each other. So that includes cons as in SF and fantasy cons, even things like anime conventions, because, comic books are books and related, manga and everything. So, bookstore openings, etc., author readings and other related events. But as I said, as I've been saying, I have no intention on overwhelming anybody either. So I'm going to try and save my voice and move on to the news portion real quick. And then we'll do the interview. Okay. So there is a certain, let's see, a certain competition. Let's see here. Let me find a certain competition that's not competition. I'm sorry. It's a anthology that is currently accepting admissions, and that is the main. Let's see. It's run by, I would say, two ladies, and they call themselves, is it Two of Crohn's? Am I saying that correctly, Jenna? Does that sound right? So this is Nicole Ford Thomas and Sarah C.
Sarah
Brody.
C. Brody. Mm-hmm.
Not right. Am I saying that correctly? I'm scrolling. Where's my thing? So that's happening, and they're taking submissions through, I believe, the 29th of this month. So there is that. Some folks here on the YouTube end are aware of that, but may need to be reminded of when this deadline is, because it is coming up really quickly here, because it is currently actually the 18th of June. But this is short stories. I believe it's no more than 5K. I do believe it's between 1K and 5K in length. Let's see. Also, let's see. Here is an event that is not exceedingly local, but it is in. Let's see. It's in Kentucky, so I would kind of call that the Southeast in a way. It's in Lexington, Kentucky. Has a bookstore called Joseph Beth Booksellers, and some folks might know this person who is in and around AuthorTube, who goes by the name of, I'm going to butcher it, Renmelian. Excuse me, because I have to remember it sounds like chameleon. She's having an event in August, actually, August 22nd. She is her publishing company, very small independent publishing company, by the way, called Dragonfly Press. And she says it's the Dragonfly Press Publishing Author Expo. And so there will be her authors there, as well as herself, there for signings. So I will be putting links in the description. I'm sorry, I've not had a chance to do that yet. I will be doing that as soon as possible. Okay, that is mostly it for today. The only other thing was that there is I've been talking about this local local bookstore to my area of the Tampa Bay area, and they literally just finally opened their brick and mortar store. They've had a pop-up for a couple of years now. I met them at Necronomicon Tampa this past year. I was trying to remember if I'd seen them do believe that was their first con with Necronomicon Tampa. And then I saw them later at an event at an art market, essentially. And just very cool independent bookstore. It is in Ybor City in Tampa. Ybor City being the famous artsy community near downtown Tampa. So, it looks like it's in an old house, refurbished house, I do believe. And anyway, again, I will pop as many links as I can in the chat while we're live. But I wanted to keep that short, considering it's already 8:30. And so I want to go ahead and, excuse me, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the interview portion of the show. So when we'll talk to our awesome guest tonight. So tonight, we have as our guest Jenna O'Malley, the awesome Jenna O'Malley. So welcome, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me very much, my dear.
You're welcome. So let's see. So I think from this moment on, we'll begin to break the ice this portion by asking you a quick question. So we're all word lovers. What is your favorite word or turn of phrase currently that is prominent in our genre of publishing, or even fandom, because why not?
Favorite word. I've been looking for excuses to throw the word aggro into every fantasy book I can.
Aggro.
In the gaming sense, it definitely refers to overpowering yourself, and sometimes on purpose. It becomes a running joke in my trilogy Vitalangica, and it's fun to scream at your friends when you're in the middle of battle and you want them to stay out of your way. And my last edit of book 2 to Vitalangica, I used it 25 times. So I think we have a new favorite word that came back from my childhood.
Watch out now, Jenna.
We know how brain defaults happen. And boy, do they happen.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And author insert and all that stuff. But
very much so.
Okay, let's see. Also, super quick. One moment. Let me interrupt you for just a second. Let's see. I wanted to say hi real quick. Hello. Welcome. How are you doing? Dreaming Truth. I'm so sorry. I'm momentarily forgetting your name.
Alicia, I think.
Oh, yes. That sounds right. Sorry. But welcome. Now, okay, Jenna. Let's see. So, number one, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I am Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references. I do write sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance to like every nth of the combination of the umbrella. I'm getting more into the sci-fi the more I'm writing. I started more in the fantasy. And I also do offer services in one-on-one coaching. I offer courses both on YouTube, off of YouTube, and also am a freelance editor, have been since I was in college to help pay the bills. And well, some teachers kept their waitressing jobs to help pay the bills because teaching does not pay the bills. I kept my editing job. So been doing it for a long time.
Awesome. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Okay. So, all right. And so one of your editing skills is developmental editing.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite parts of editing. It's the nerdiest part, in my opinion.
You know, and I'm finding myself really thinking of adding it to my repertoire. But anyway, I'm moving on because I'm anyway. There's lots of aspects of it that sound really fascinating to me. But my main question currently is, how do you feel about developmental editing as it pertains to creating reader interest early on, like in the film?
This is where you find out you are the biggest nerd of your books, and as it kind of should be until you have super fans. And developmental editing is scary. That's a deep, dark cave, and a lot of people don't like to go where the gems are hidden in the darkness. So often,
That's where the gems are
when
hidden.
exactly, often once you can get okay with playing in the sandbox again, or playing whatever what it was like for you as a kid to go be happy, carefree, dirty, messy, and not care whether that's in a pool, in the mud, that's developmental editing. And once
Yes.
you learn to feel that comfy in the cave of it, it doesn't become as scary anymore. And that's the way I like to appreciate and approach it. I'm the biggest archaeological nerd of this thing. Let
It,
me go digging.
right, exactly. It's really getting into the meat of it, and you know, um, it is interesting, especially if you look at it in terms of the term structural editing, which is to me the same. It's the same.
Very similar.
Because you are looking at the structures, and you are looking at. Well, do you want to explain exactly how you define developmental editing?
For me, I define it as looking, I refer to, it's a very elementary school concept, at least that's where I learned it, the ARMS method, adding, removing, moving stuff around, or even substituting where you need. And it's basic, but it's an easy acronym to do every scene, every chapter, every act. And when you think of building, like you said, that structure, or a term in education we used to use as a teacher was scaffolding it. How are you mapping out and scaffolding the nuts and bolts of the plot? No, but also it goes into which characters say what.
Yes, of course.
So for me, it's really looking at those nuts and bolts and kind of like you said, the structure or the scaffolding of it. And looking at, if I have a plot hole, do I need a whole scene to fix it? And I encourage a lot of people that I coach, if you can fix it in 2 sentences, why write 20 paragraphs? That's the joy of developmental editing.
Yes. And there are very new writers who are just getting into things, and they don't realize what's the different they didn't even know, they've never even heard of developmental editing. And I didn't hear the term myself, to be perfectly honest. I didn't hear the term until I got back into creative writing after a time away. I hadn't heard of it until I don't know. I guess not long after I started getting back into it again.
I think a misconstruation with developmental editing is you have to have a complete draft to hire a developmental editor. Sometimes you hire a developmental editor because you do not know how to connect point Y to point Z, or even point Q to point T in your plot.
And that would have helped me not waste a bunch of time when I was getting into creative writing again.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the biggest misnomer with developmental editors. If you're stuck and you're like, I literally just need another set of eyes, sometimes hiring a developmental editor to just work on a set of chapters. They don't have to work on a whole piece.
I agree, because in my case, because it had been quite some time since I'd been around creative writers, that I didn't know what I was doing. If I'm completely honest, I really did not. And I would go to critique meetings, but they didn't really tell me what I needed to know.
Right. And
they just said keep going, and I'm like, and that helps me how?
And I think a lot of, at least that's where I, as a developmental editor, from a coaching aspect, come into play, because you can hire me to do a developmental edit on a section that comes with a lot of coaching. Now, sometimes you might have an author who is changing point of view, and they're just trying to develop ways to double check themselves in a draft. You can turn that developmental if you want. There's so many things you could do under a developmental edit that is structural, that is planning this book or planning a series could apply.
Absolutely. Pardon me while I...
No, you're fine.
All right. And so yes, we were talking earlier about developmental editing as it pertains to creating reader interest. So and you were talking about, of course, we were talking about structures and excuse me, dialogue. What do you think is a really great way to to create that interest in terms of and also how to keep the readers interested was another point we were talking about earlier, and then also to maintain it. How do you help authors do that?
It goes really truly into reminding often that the main characters does not exist in a vacuum. This is something that I think authors learn intuitively the longer they write, that there is more than one voice in the room, even though you only see, quote unquote, and experience the room through one character's head, if that's how you choose to set it up, depending on how omniscient or not you're going in your writing applies here. And really relying on your secondary characters to sometimes be the reliable narrators and be the honest truths, because that's real life. Our parents, our best friends, they are sometimes the people who hockey check us emotionally into a corner with a single look. And being honest to that in not only the character arcs, the character actions, but also how they react. So it's not superficial.
Love it. And yeah, and then obviously developmental editors are famous for finding the plot holes. How about that?
Yeah. We like finding a good plot hole. And honestly, my favorite thing to do, and this is the Virgo in me, I like to go, oh, wait a minute, you said blank a few chapters back. Can you loop that in here? Sometimes our job in fixing a plot hole is as simple as you meant to connect the dot, but you're like this far from actually drawing a full line from dot to dot. Let's draw from the middle of the dot to the middle of the dot is kind of more the way I feel sometimes.
Absolutely. And I see these things as a line editor and a copy editor as well. And
because it gets a lot of people don't developmental ed, and it gets through to you.
And it gets, if they think that, well, I don't think I need that. Or they're not sure, or they just want to go ahead and jump to the next stage. But anyway, I get it, because these other services can be a little less expensive, so I understand. So when I do see things like that, I definitely make sure that the author knows that. Oh, by the way, the room is on the left, not on the right. They just ran into a wall. So. That's the analogy I like to use.
And it's kind of in that moment you draw back and you're more holistic or comprehensive. And that's part of any editor's job, in my opinion.
Oh, I completely agree. To know at least some things about the other types of editing so that you can catch things and just kind of say, oh, hey, you did this. So
and just bumper them back onto the bowling alley. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You might want to, let's see. So do you have any specific tips maybe for either for this sort of thing or just about working with a developmental editor and also maybe what to expect?
With a developmental editor, keep in mind that, and this is kind of true with any editor, what we give you is a suggestion. We are not, just because we're an editor, we're not the end of the book. We might have a different reader's perspective, but our job ultimately is to help you anticipate the reader experience through another person's eyes when we are doing that more holistic, comprehensive, developmental, hey, you said, go to this door, not that door, does apply. And it's certainly making sure that your reader, as an editor, your experience as the reader does come through, and it's a drop in a sea of an ocean of possible readers that the person could be going through the mind filtration of. So sometimes, yeah, you might think you're going to work great with someone. That's okay if you learn all you're going to learn from them and you go with someone else. And that's part of the process. And I often say,
don't if they just
don't disrespect.
Or even if it's just not a good fit for a variety of reasons.
So yeah, if it takes you a couple of times to find an editor, that's fine. That's fine. I don't always like the first auto mechanic out, and I definitely don't use the same auto mechanic I took my first car to ever, because I've met other people I work better with. Same with my business supplies for servicers.
Exactly. Don't take the first oh gosh, the word just went right out of my head. You find out how much it's going to cost this one place, and then usually you go to another place just to see how much it costs there. And
I wouldn't say don't assume you're paying what you're getting for in editor land, because there is the guidelines, but a lot of us don't feel comfortable charging what we're worth either, because the economy is what the economy is.
And some newer editors are are loath to do that, and they're also they may have a little bit of imposter syndrome and stuff like that. So this is a thing too, and and they know that indie authors don't have a lot of money to work with.
And I'll admit, I'm charging what I was making when I was working for an outlet that paid me in college. I'm not charging much more than what they paid me anyway. So it's not like I don't consider what I ask for outrageous, but don't be afraid to compare. Don't be afraid to look around.
Right. And, but, a lot of times though, for not all editors, but, I think you were kind of alluding to you get what you pay for as well a second ago. So there's that as well. And there's also many ways of finding, editors, including editors organizations and such. Writers groups that also include editors, things of that nature, whether in person or Facebook or whatever.
And also call your local chamber of commerce, because some of us are registered business owners, and my local chamber of commerce has sent me clients recently. So with local businesses to do copy editing for their websites, and it's it still work.
I've been a member of those before, especially when
Hey,
it's
if you need work, it works.
Yeah, exactly. Um, now we have a question real quick. Let's see, Felicia, is it better to get a developmental editor that specializes in your genre?
Genre or adjacent to? I would say adjacent. Like I write paranormal fantasy, but I can do paranormal romance if
I
that
mean,
makes sense.
there's genres and there's subgenres, and there's so
Exactly.
much overlap that, I mean, okay, I am currently specializing in fiction, but I edit nonfiction as well, and I'm branching out into that. I even just took, to be perfectly honest, I just took a course on editing recipes.
Yeah.
I'm expanding a little bit more in that direction.
And see,
So
my repertoire, because I was a teacher in public education for 15 to 20 years, I can do MLA, APA, any of the sightings because I taught them.
Yeah.
So, because I was required
I
to.
know AP pretty well. As a matter of fact, people used to kid me about my short sentences, not sentences, but my short paragraphs is what I was going to say. I kept saying, maybe condense these a little bit. Oops.
It's
and
a
my
style.
colleagues too, and I had to relearn how to use the Oxford.
You can rip the Oxford comma out of my cold, dead hands. That's how I feel.
I understand. I generally speaking, that's me as well. As long as clarity, and consistency.
Yeah, I don't want to eat grandma. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Let's eat, Grandma.
Yeah. Please be careful.
What are we eating? Anyway, I've always loved that meme and the shirts. There's so many. Let's see. Oh, you wanted to talk about when it comes to developmental editing, books to, I'm assuming you mentioned resources.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. What titles would you suggest?
There's a couple. I have them on my, and I can send you the links for after if you want to drop them in the description box, of course.
Okay.
The 8 Crafts of Writing, which if you need developmental help with your own book, do some of the exercises he has in there. They very much help to visualize if you're a visual person.
I have the ebook of that, but I have not gotten into it yet. I need to get into it. So
I love it. I love it. When I have gifted several copies of it to clients as, yay, you opened your LLC. Go read this book. And they are like, yeah, I see where you can use it in pre-writing, drafting, or editing. The other one is Intuitive Editing and Intuitive Author by Tiffany, I believe it's Yates. And I've read both of them, and they just together, self-editing 101, in my opinion. They're just really good books.
Yeah, I just got that, the Intuitive Editing.
Love it. I love it. It felt a little basic in review for me, having been doing this for a long time. But it was a nice refresher read, and I definitely recommend it to clients since it was recommended to me by a client.
And let's see. And we also wanted to talk about continuing education anyway. Obviously, reading is a huge part of that. And it, when talking about developing how we edit our own work, excuse me, or to work on our writing.
And just don't assume it has to be a paid class, because there's a lot of free courses. Coursera, you can watch all their courses for free. If you just want to pay for the certificate that you completed, it applies. They have stuff from actual universities there. why not?
Coursera does. Okay, that's very interesting. I also I also know some editors who have free courses. Yeah, here's one, but others as well that I have met in the editing community. Some are free and some are not, and some are they've got a Ko-fi. So
yeah, and just definitely check them out. Also, your local community college, if you're lucky to have one, they sometimes offer courses that are like, I kid you not, $20, the book included, and the book costs $20.
oh my goodness, wow, there you go. That is a great idea.
And they're short. They're like 4 to 6 weeks long.
Okay.
They're not a full semester. That's it. Or they're like a long Saturday for a couple hours.
Okay. I'll have to check into that. There is a, a community college. It's not a community college anymore. That's right. Anyway, there's a local college that I used to attend, and they've always had their really, excuse me, some really interesting courses.
So definitely worth checking.
Yeah. You also wanted to talk about just some tools that authors can use to edit, to write, to do other things with, right?
I often, as a teacher, had students do a writing exercise of look at this Thomas Kincaid picture, what happened in the picture. When people get stuck with developmental edits and they're like, I don't know what to put here, I will sometimes ask them, can you give yourself a collage of pictures to look at and then write the scene? Sometimes that visual helps. So tarot decks come in here to help with that visual aspect. If you're doing the same things again and again and again on repeat, use dice to add variety with some semblance of randomization. And then, of course, my favorite, when in doubt, turn your wall into a detective wall with string and note cards, because there's no shame in doing that. I think you muted, hun.
Apologies, I almost forgot I did that. I was having a coughing fit, pardon. So yeah, and things like sticky notes, and you talked about tarot cards. People watching.
Oh yeah, my favorite way to steal good lines, because you just can't make some things up. You have a child, you understand. You've been around teenagers, you understand. Some of my lines from some of my characters come from people I've played video games with, or past students, and they do know, but they don't know, because I would write down things that they had to say literally on sticky notes and take it home. Of former gaming buddy of mine, Baka, who I co-write things with now for a TTRPG, he would literally say, Jenna went quiet. Did she write something down? It's like, soul brother. It's like, definitely applies. And I think Heather might have stepped away to go get a drink or discuss with the child. So she will be back just in a few moments, everybody. But I think that was our last item. There she is.
Or hubby.
That was my third guess, but I didn't want to
assume. So yeah. I was kind of focused on something. Yeah. Were you talking about things like possibly painting and drawing and stuff?
Oh yeah. With painting, you're still doing something with your hands. One of the classes I took as a continuing, no, not typing. This is literally getting yourself away from a screen, and giving yourself a blank sheet of paper, blank canvas, knitting, yarn, something else medium-wise to look at. The brain still thinks you're holding a pen or a pencil because we're often taught that universal hand holding shape of this to do a lot of stuff, to paint, to do makeup, to do stamps, all that. You're still doing similar micro hand motions. So your brain is still in the backgrounds thinking about your writing creative worlds potentially. And this is why I never yelled at students for taking notes as doodlers. My doodlers always passed my classes because their doodles were their notes. Their brain associated the image they were drawing with what we were talking about. Same applies in your writing.
Completely agree. Absolutely. Yeah, these are some ink blending tools.
Yes. And you're still thinking about writing. I love to paint, and I'm not getting back into painting, but I'm getting back into doing other crafts with my hands. It's why I like doing earrings and keychains and stuff right now. Because it's simple hand motions that are micro hand motions, but I'm still thinking about my books.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, and like you say, using your hands, doing something physical can be very helpful. Can be very helpful for memorization and whatever, and concentration.
And expression. And expression.
Like I just did. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Creativity begets creativity, correct?
Yes. It's a transformative thing like that with energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people may remember from a while back. I used to have an Etsy shop. I don't have that anymore, but I do still sell my art in person. Yeah, I still make the bookmarks, and I'm going to an event on Saturday.
So, congratulations!
Thank you very much.
Hi, Andy.
Yeah. Hello, and real quick, I think about the story while I'm crocheting. Yes, I will have to actually. Oops, sorry about that. Here we go. Actually learn how to crochet.
I have a former.
I'm really good at chaining. Let's just say.
I have a former student who learned how to crochet in med school because it's how they study. They sit there with their notes and they crochet and they say, "I remember stuff better."
Yeah, I was. I took my stuff with me to writers' meetings a couple of times because I saw other people doing it. I was, man, this is helpful.
Yes.
It's better than, sometimes it was better than scribbling notes, depending.
Yeah.
Hi, Andy. Everybody's saying hi. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, Andy comes to these quite often, actually.
Yeah. Andy gets around. Andy's quite mobile.
Boy, howdy. Yes, Andy sure gets around. Great channel, by the way.
Very much so.
You know who also has a great channel? Jenna. Jenna runs sprints. Jenna vlogs sometimes. I vlog when I can. Jenna, like you say, offers courses. Even has members only content. So there's that. Are you getting tired? Would you like to wrap things up now, or was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think we covered everything on the suggestions from my end. The only other question I had for you was for you, as far as your next set of journeys on here, what are you doing next? Who are we seeing next on this show? Do you know who your next guest is?
I have a guess. I have a guest that I originally was going to have a meeting with today, but we had to push it back. This is somebody that I have met through Necronomicon Tampa, actually, and is a cosplay artist and does some other stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, so as some of this specific content may get a little bit narrowed as it gets closer to Necronomicon Tampa, because I do know some folks who are affiliated with it. As well, to be perfectly transparent, I am. And so I do have some people that I'm going to be reaching out to, specifically
Awesome.
who who are involved and who are also on the board. Some of them. One that I did have on not terribly long ago, his name is Perry Bruns, and he's a voiceover artist, and he also does audiobook narration, and he's an actor, and he's a writer.
Wonderful.
I know. And let me tell you super quick, Jenna, being on a panel with him, it's super distracting because of the quality of his voice. I find myself just going, because yeah, especially the first time I was on a panel with him, it was kind of funny because I just kept looking at him. I'm like, holy cow. But anyway, anyway, so I've met some really cool folks, and really looking forward to some people to getting in touch with some folks who are involved with it. That said, I also recently had on author E.L. Summers, who you know as well, and it was super nice talking to her. And it sounds like next time she's going to bring her sister.
Oh, they're always a joy to speak with.
I know. They're awesome folks, and so it sounds like we might have something really specific to talk about. And so maybe disabled characters possibly, but it's something that they and I like to talk about essentially. So anyway, yeah, really looking forward to upcoming content. Thank you for asking, Jenna. And so that is actually another event that's coming up, and that will be in September.
That'll be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Finalizing some pitches and stuff. So last minute adjustments and stuff. So yeah. Speaking of events and things that we are doing, would you like to talk about what's happening with you right now? What are you working on, and etc.?
I'm actually in the process of taking a small travel break on tour, planned and not. I lost a vehicle in my inner circle that was kind of my chariot to events. So my next in-person event is Fable Book Con in York, Pennsylvania. It's a fantasy book convention. It's kind of like Renaissance Fair meets Fantasy Ball meets Book Con. And I'm going with one of my Fae friends, Fairy Scout. I'm very excited for that. We're doing a girls' weekend. So I'll be wearing ball gowns, and yes, there's vlogs. But in the meantime, I'm kind of taking a break, not a break. I don't have any courses planned until the fall, and I am working on developing another pen name that is strictly STEAM. And then my first nonfiction help for writers under this pen name, under the Faded Design series, will be coming out, focusing mostly on tarot, dice, and other ways to add seemingly randomness to your books.
Neat, very neat. Yes, you're one of the many people I keep meeting who really like to use gaming aspects, like to combine gaming aspects to their creativity. And
it's in part what got me into writing.
I've talked to a couple of people about it so far, this season of this podcast. So
Yeah.
and now I'm like, it's rubbing off on me, and I'm like, I want it.
It's an addiction. It's like a potato chip. You can't have just one.
I'm getting scared too. Yes, because I don't want to get. I don't know how addicted should I get. But okay, so wonderful. And you just published another book, correct?
Mm-hmm. I just had Slices and Sheets come out on the 15th, and it is a collection of short stories featuring the couples from season 1 of the Myrna Annals, and it's stories that kind of just didn't fit in the mainline quest, and some of them are literally just pure slices of life, like Lee, the least motherly of the mothers, getting the most motherly moment with her sons, being just total goofballs and eating up every second of it like a mother would. You wouldn't expect that from her. That would be more of another character. But it's those moments that I wish I could write that don't always make it onto the page. And it was a joy. And some of them were actually like reader suggested challenges. One of the readers back when I was on Ream Stories several years ago said, what would happen if the ladies had to distract their guys from playing video games? And I'm like, I can write 5 stories about that. And they're all in there.
That's funny. And so yeah, yes. And what is there anything else you wanted to mention about who you are, what you do, and where you can be found, and all that stuff?
Just at Jenna the Soul Writer here on YouTube would be a good place to go, or jennathesoulwriter.com. Normally, if you just Google Jenna the Soul Writer, my face pops up.
Very true. And let's see. Or Jenna O'Malley, author.
Yep, that's the other one.
Up on YouTube.
The other one. That's normally the other one. But normally, I tell people, if you definitely want me, just plug in Jenna the Soul Writer. I'm in the Fae cosplaying community, and that they call me Jenna Soul Bard now. That's kind of my fairy Ren Fair name if when I'm in my bard gear, so it makes them finding me easier too.
But I wanted to put at least one link in the chat while we were going. And so if you wanted to reach out to Jenna, there's that. Yeah. And then and then I myself. So yeah, I'm Heather Dewey Pettit. I can be found most anywhere at Heather Dewey Pettit or Heather Dewey Pettit Edits. So my current little tagline is Heather Dewey Pettit Edits your book. Because Heather Dewey Pettit Edits is my business name. So why not? So yeah. So as I was talking about earlier, I'm also an editor. I'm primarily an editor, but I am a wine editor, copy editor. Do some proofreading, and I do a lot of I do sensitivity and authenticity editing, or reading, or whatever you want to call it. And like I said earlier, disability is a huge interest of mine, special interest, so that's one of the things I read for, as well as other lived experiences, including the fact that I grew up around horses, and I know quite a bit about English writing in particular. I also have a sibling who just went pretty far in her career in the equestrian community. So anyway, I have sources. So anyway, and also, before I forget, yeah, I'm writing too. I'm actually writing as well. I'm currently editing my my nonfiction book called the Fairy Glossary and Guide for Writers. That's FAERIE. In other words, the place. So it is a short, very short glossary of the fairies of the UK, or Great Britain, I should probably say, the most broad term. And primarily now, because it's expanded and expanded, I would say at least a third of it is the guide portion, where there's things like I talk about appropriation and well, disability again, and misusing certain things, certain aspects of some of these, essentially some of these characters, or whatever you want to call them, can be problematic. So anyway, there's a lot of that sort of thing in it. Also, I will be getting back to my novel after the guide is published. I aim to publish the guide in August or September, so that everything is ready and done for Necronomicon Tampa. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on bamboo. Is that wood? Anyway,
it counts.
Yeah, essentially. And then I have some other ideas that are upcoming as well. I've talked to people many times about this particular topic. I kind of mentioned earlier, it has to do with recipes. We'll talk about it later. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I will be back here on the first Thursday of the month. The first Thursday of the month. This is the first and third Thursdays at either 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening. That said, sometimes things change, and so we'll see how it goes. But that is the current plan. And we can say good night, Jenna.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing the next one. And if you're not
Awesome.
following her, what are you doing? Go buy her books.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, Jenna. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching either. Thank you so much. Live on the replay. I hope you like this content. If you do, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It helps everyone. Correct? All right. Have a great evening, everybody, and I will see you soon. Bye.